Good east positioning of the sun, everybody. I pulled out the slideshow, and I assume you have eyes that can read. If you're blind, don't worry, the intro will get you covered later. But let's introduce everyone's favorite dessert that, for whatever reason, a surprising number of people in my house don't toast. Introduce yourself.
Hi guys, it's my Poptart. We're back at it again. Me and Blue Fang have been talking a lot about anime recently, and we came to a decision that we would talk about most important fights. Now, when we talk about most important, it's not just within the narrative, it can be for the fans of the show, it can be in terms of choreography, what it meant for the story later. There's a whole bunch of factors that went into this. So don't take this as best fight.
It's
Trust me, we have opinions on that as well.
it's not the best fight. It's more just what it meant to this show and its impact being felt even now, if it's still running.
Exactly.
And also, we're not ranking these fights based off of importance. This is purely just, we thought, oh, hey, we like this show. What's the most important fight in it? This one? Got it.
Yeah, that's about it.
Also, real quick, to my buddy, you can say my name. I don't really care. I won't say yours because
Yeah.
you didn't say it. But yeah. Anyways, you might have saw it from my misclick here, but the first anime we're going to be talking about is Dragon Ball. And I think everybody knows what the most important fight in this one is, and that is Super Saiyan Goku versus Frieza.
There really is no debate here. With others coming up, there are multiple fights that could be on this list. This is not one of them. Goku versus Frieza is possibly the most influential fight in anime, not just in universe for Dragon Ball, but outside of anime. Because when you think about anime fights, this is one of the first that you do.
When I think of anime, I think about transformations, and when I think about transformations, I think of Super Saiyan Goku. I think of deaths and how they don't actually mean anything in anime. I think of Krillin.
Yeah, and aside from that, when you look at the show from this point onwards, a lot of them use the template that Frieza set up. Like we have a long battle with multiple transformations from the villains and heroes with a with it usually being in groups.
Hell, even in this show, I think the most unique that uses this template is Goku and Vegeta versus Buu, and that's because of the fight goes on so long that they power down, which is rare for Dragon Ball.
Still, Goku versus Frieza may not be our favorite of that show. I'm sure we could talk about that day and night, but it is by far the most important.
Absolutely. Oh, and the Kai dub of this fight is better. I'm just gonna point that out there. I don't like Frieza just going, "Pop goes the weasel." But I will say the soundtrack of the original and the song that plays when Goku finally goes Super Saiyan is significantly better than the Kai version. If you haven't listened to it, go listen to it. It's so good.
Yeah.
That being said, I think we're out of things to say about Goku versus Frieza, other than it was just the obvious pick.
Yep.
So let's move
I don't
on.
have anything else.
So let's move on to everyone's favorite 26 episode anime, I think. Cowboy Bebop. And for that, we have Spike versus Vicious round 1.
See, we have to differentiate here because round two is the end of the show. And while latter half fights aren't bad and they're not unimportant, the setup in round ones, round twos, they're all more important for the show, I'd say.
Like, yeah,
There will be a contradiction later. There will be a contradiction later.
e-
But for
every
now, we
rule
will
has
be
its
sticking with round
exception.
one.
Yeah, every rule has its exception, and for the most part, the earlier a fight is, the better because it has more of the anime to make an impact on. And that's just kind of the case with Spike versus Vicious round 1. We get to see the immediate dichotomy of their rivalry. Spike falling out of the church in the round 1 leads to Bang in round. It's like a nice foreshadow of Bang in round 2 or 3
And
actually.
plus, yeah, no, plus the choreography is kind of how the show would approach fights since since it, with the hand to hand with mixed weapons.
Yep. And this fight seems crazy to me because right now it reminds me of Dante versus Virgil with the sword user winning against the gun user.
Granted, both of those guys could blow up a universe. I don't know if Spike and Vicious could do that.
Yet those guys couldn't blow up a street without heavy planning.
Yeah.
But yeah. Also, real quick before I move on, Ballad of Fallen Angels is such a cool name for a fight. I think that might be the coolest name for a fight. And I was tempted to call it that, but I needed to differentiate what version this is.
Yeah, but it is up there. I don't really know a whole lot of other fights that have nicknames, so
Well, I there's a nickname for this next fight. In Naruto, the most important fight is Shippuden's Pilot, or Naruto versus Sasuke Round 1.
see, you could argue round 2, but with round 1, we have the introduction of the most legendary clash of that show, and that is the Rasengan versus Chidori. Granted, it's happened before, but Kakashi stopped it.
Like, also, Kurama One Tail Rasengan versus Cursed Sign Chidori. It's even more powered up than it was in the hospital bout.
Yeah, there was also the fact that the animation seemed to have a huge step up just to have this fight at its full potential. I am not complaining though, because that bit of those bits of animation are fantastic. You've got the stack of clones from Naruto slamming Sasuke into the wall. You've got
The six
the
piece
suplex that actually yeah, the suplex that actually killed Naruto.
and then the six-piece water with no ice combo that Naruto delivers on Sasuke.
I mean, yeah, like that poor man got violated.
And he never hit a combo like that again, Naruto.
Yeah, nope. But what I will say is that without this fight, Shippuden doesn't exist, and it's kind of hard to top that in terms of importance.
Wait a minute, I just thought of something, like, completely random. Is
Yeah,
Naruto versus Sasuke in the hospital the actual round 1, so this is round 2, and their Shippuden fight is round 3?
think about it this way: round one was kind of just a showcase for what they were going to do later. I wouldn't call it a round one. I'd call it a face off.
I was gonna say round 0, but that works too.
Yeah.
But alright, yeah. Naruto versus Sasuke round 1 literally sets off the plot of Shippuden and all that is to come. This is a case of the second bout is important, but the first one just happens to be earlier and sets off so much more events, so we had to give it to this fight.
Plus, the the second round sets up Boruto, and I don't think we want to talk about that.
We don't talk about Boruto. No, no, no. What did
That
they
doesn't
do to
even work,
my boy?
dude.
But anyways, moving
Okay.
on. We have One Piece, the second member of the big three. And for that anime, the most important fight is Luffy versus Crocodile round 3.
Now
Specifically,
this
the
one
fight in the
has
basement.
yeah, yeah. One Piece had by far the largest array of choices because
It's still
despite
going.
the fact that despite the fact it started in 99, this anime is still going. We're still getting important fights. Like as recent as Kaido versus Luffy, like there's still so many more that could come up that beat Luffy Crocodile, but the fact that Luffy Crocodile is where it is and what happened in it puts it there.
Yeah, for starters, Gum Gum Storm versus Desert La Spada is amazing. We had Water Luffy kind of set up Crocodile's weakness, and Luffy's fucking immense willpower set up in Arlong Park for the blood to be
Yeah,
used to beat the shit out of Crocodile. Amazing.
it was a pure display of what Luffy could do. And not only that, It's punctuated perfectly with overture number 5. Not a lot of anime do this, but they use classical music to really punctuate a shift in the story, and overture number 5 really helped display the fact that Luffy and his crew were ready for the Grand Line. And that had not just been through Crocodile, but Zoro versus Mr. Bones, Usopp and Chopper versus Miss Merry Christmas and Mr. Four.
Sanji versus Bon Clay.
Yeah.
And plus, we had Nico Robin debut with the cowboy hat that seems to forever go missing.
So yeah, the fact that we got a whole new crew member, multiple major fights throughout the arc, and a capitalization this grand, it's really, really nice to see. And it again, like Goku versus Frieza, set up the template with Luffy getting trapped or put at a disadvantage using his unreal willpower and frankly ludicrous durability to push through.
Yeah. I will say my my biggest argument for why it shouldn't be Crocodile is that this is the first and I think only real major fight Luffy goes through that is seen by the Marines and he doesn't get a status buff out of it. But so be it. I still have to agree with them because of how important the Grand Line is. And also because basically as soon as they leave Logtown to now, it was building to this moment.
So yeah, I think it's pretty clear, but there are arguments for other fights.
Yeah. And now, to round out the big three, we have the anime that the both of us are the least familiar with, which is Ichigo versus his Zanpakuto.
So I've heard arguments for other fights in this anime. I'm sure think Yuhabak versus Ichigo, Ichigo versus Byakuya, Ichigo versus Ulquiorra and
Aizen
Aizen.
especially.
Yep. But the fact that we have Ichigo only getting his powers through fighting the Zanpakuto, it probably gives them the edge.
I I do say this as someone who's watched Bleach. I all of Ichigo's power-ups is just coming to terms with who he is and the weird conditions that form his soul. So I think for moments of especially the main character's growth that leads to him being able to win these other fights is what sets this up for me as the most important.
I mean, for instance, the white Zanpakuto gave him the Hollow Mask and thus the power to beat Ulquiorra. With the black Zanpakuto, he was able to use that to beat Byakuya. There's plenty of examples to where this set up fights later on that helped Ichigo win.
Yeah. But I think both of us don't really want to talk about Bleach because it's the least familiar of the big three for the both. So let's move on to Chainsaw Man, or as I like to call it, Stepped On Incorporated. We have
Yeah.
Denji versus Reze.
So this is the most recent fight on the list, I believe.
Yeah, I believe that too. I
And
can believe it.
yeah, and given this got a whole movie, and we aren't talking about Demon Slayer, spoilers, but no Demon Slayer. Um, yeah, it's kind of hard to beat the scale of this outside of universe,
Yeah. And also coming on to this is definitely one of the more personal fights. I mean, Denji having an actually good, solid relationship with someone is fucking unheard of.
especially given that Makima has a death grip on him until this moment. But knowing that these are major spoilers for the movie since it's so recent. I don't want you guys to be watching this and not know what happens. But the fact that Makima ends up killing Reze because Denji got too close is the most manipulative she ever is.
Yeah. Denji versus Reze is just the most important fight in Chainsaw Man. It was the biggest like change and it got a whole movie based after it. I kind of think this is another case where even though there is an argument for something else, I would say that this is the clear and obvious pick.
Plus, Iris Out is a banger. Go listen to that song, bro.
Yeah. Moving on to what many people consider another part of the new big three, Jujutsu Kaisen. And we
Yeah.
have Yuji versus Mahito.
So this one had by far the biggest um debate between what fight to pick because it was between Yuji and Mahito and Gojo versus the Curse Society. However, we decided on Yuji versus Mahito for two major reasons. One, this is where Yuji's character takes a major shift, and given that it's the protagonist, it's a little more important. Then you have to look at who died during this, and that was Nanami. Nanami was a huge loss for the
The
Jujutsu sorcerers.
yeah. Like I will say this straight up as like a just a precursor to this list. Literally if cuz up until this point, literally the protagonist has been involved in every single fight. If there is a debate that involves the protagonist and someone else, 9 times out of 10 we're going to give it to the protagonist considering they're the most important character to the anime.
So, aside from that, the fight itself is actually rather brief in terms of episode count, but what I will say is that the pure rage that Yuji feels is kind of cathartic because this whole time he's been trying to play fair and with his emotions intact. This is where he fully loses it. Well, not fully, but he loses it to the point where he's willing to kill Mahito.
Yeah, this ain't a comic book world. There is no excuse for a Batman code in this verse. Have Mahito look like that Tim Burton meme that he is and end him off for good.
Yeah, it's quite a sobering battle to watch, especially after Nanami's death, Nobara's supposed death. There's a lot of stuff going on here.
It's just this is a real pivot point, and you can absolutely get away with that. But moving forward, let's talk about something a lot more kid friendly and PETA hated with Pokemon's Ash versus
Yeah.
Kukui.
So like we said before, the latter half usually doesn't get a lot of attention. However, with Ash versus Kukui, this literally became a out of universe holiday, and it finally became the moment where Ash Ketchum became the champion.
He finally became the best like no one ever was. And to be fair, Kukui isn't weak either. He put up a damn good fight. It's entertaining to watch.
Yeah, I know we don't talk about competitiveness a lot in this list, but it is like a factor, and this is one of the best at it.
We got to see Kukui and how strong he could be when it was with Guzma. This is Ash's by far. I wouldn't say. Well, actually, you know what? Upon thinking about it, this is by far Ash's most well-rounded team. He has two starters, one of them fully evolved, which is extremely rare for Ash to like actually fully evolve most members of his team. The only member who wasn't fully evolved aside from Pikachu is Rowlet. But he has Lycanroc Dusk form, he has Melmetal, which is a mythical, and Naganadel, which is an ultra beast. Man's decided to pick up some status for this fight.
Plus, it was not the one, the 10 million Bolt Thunderbolt, which has gone on to become kind of iconic, especially after the Champions Derby or whatever it was called in Champions.
Yeah. The Champion Cup and well the Kamehameha. And for the unfortunate part of this influence, what came after? This was essentially the end of Ash as the protagonist of the Pokemon anime. Which, I'm sorry, it feels wrong to not have Ash at all in the new anime.
Yeah, it is a little bit of a bummer, but at the same time, you can't really blame this fight alone for what's to come.
You can blame Go.
Yeah, you can blame Go.
Screw that guy. If I was to be in charge of the anime, I would definitely reduce Ash as a character, maybe not make him the protagonist, but make him the mentor that still appears in every episode. If that makes a little more sense.
Yeah, I'm fine with that, but that's That's hypotheticals, and we're not here for hypotheticals.
We're here to talk about the most important fights, and if you can get a fight that's so important it becomes a fucking holiday, I don't know, man. I don't think anything else can contest with that.
Exactly.
Anyways, it's time to move on to one of the Pop-Tart specialties and something I didn't entirely watch. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which is Poochie versus everyone. Take it away.
So Enrico Pucci, the whole deal with him is that he is Dio's greatest disciple. Dio is the villain of parts 1 and 3, and he died in 3 to Jotaro Kujo. Jotaro is known as probably the strongest protagonist in terms of prime. However, during this fight, Jotaro comes back from a stand removal induced coma because Pucci's original ability was you could steal stands, and that's what he did. So this whole anime is getting that disc back, and as that goes on, Pucci gains a stand called Made in Heaven, which allows him to reverse the entire universe. And when I mean reverse, I mean travel back in time to a point where the universe itself was being created. And with his power, he was able to reset the universe and make it in his own image, like Dio would have wanted. However, we also have this character in the top left of the images. His name is Emporio Polino. Polino was able to survive thanks to his stand burning down the house. Burning down the house allows the user to go into a little nook, a little like cranny of this dimension that Made in Heaven didn't affect. Emporio got to see the entire original JoJo's universe go up in smoke. I don't think any other anime here has a claim to where one of the main characters got to see their entire universe reversed. And finally, every other main character of this part was killed by Enrico Pucci. You had Jolene Cujo, daughter of Jotaro, dead. Jotaro himself, dead. Hermes Costello, the best friend of Jolene Cujo, dead. Narciso Ansui, dead. And of course, Weather Report, Pucci's own brother, dead. No one in this list has a claim to fame so big as I killed every main character except for Emporio and reset the universe.
Good lord, I need to start watching JoJo's.
You will like it. It's very, very good.
All I know is embrace flamboyant masculinity and kiss the homies.
Exactly, bro. That's a lesson you don't even need to learn from anime. That's just a that's just a good life lesson.
To quote Matt the Curtain, Yuji's just in normalized kissing the homies. It's exactly why we shouldn't. Now that he's got his turn to gush about a fight that I know nothing about, let's play the Uno reverse card, because he hasn't seen Dandadan, but I have. And the most important fight is Okarun versus the Evil Eye, round 2. For the first joking talking point, Dandadan is the first anime my mom fully watched through, and this is her favorite fight, and it got her to watch the rest of it. So, there. This is mostly important because of how it makes for the character developments of, well, Okarun and Evil Eye. If you've watched the show beforehand, you would know that Okarun got a busted power. He was basically the Flash of his verse after he got his testicles stolen. But he's not physically strong enough or knows how to fight to wield it. And Evil Eye is a god, but he's also two 8-year-old children fused into one. So he has the maturity of an 8-year-old. And before this, we had the Okarun and Ira versus Mozart, Beethoven, and all that. And that's when Okarun learned combat rhythm. And for this first fight, we got to see Okarun fucking kick ass. So much so that the Evil Eye never landed a hit that Okarun didn't outright counter or dodge entirely. Now, granted, it was still very hard because Okarun himself only got one hit in, but still, defensively, that's better than he's ever done. And even by the end, when he goes full power and is forced to be in his human form because he can't go any further, what he does to the Evil Eye is he rage baits him into only fighting Okarun once a week. And we get the tidy whities of trust over here. And considering how the Evil Eye is a major ally, and this fight is because of it, I don't know, man. Sets future events of the series in motion, causes main growth for one of our protagonists, causes a bad guy to turn into a good guy. I'd say it's a pretty damn important fight. Would you call that an important fight for an anime?
Yeah, I probably would, even though I've never seen it.
Hey, those basic bullet points are enough for me to say it's very important.
Yeah.
But let's get back onto neutral territory with My Hero Academia. And behold the grand exception to the rule of the protagonist being in it. All Might versus All for One.
Granted, it's not the only exception, but I'm not going to talk about that yet. Starting with All for One versus All Might. This is maybe the most famous fight in the most famous anime of the past 10 years.
Yeah. If you want to do a passing of the torch, this is the moment that people refer to. Even if you're not an anime fan, this is still a great passing of the torch moment you need to know.
It's also got great just images. A lot of fights tend to focus on fluid animation and great and like a couple hit moments here and there. This fight trades that. The combat isn't the focus. It's really the characters who are fighting. It's a lot of dialogue, it's a lot of watching at the sidelines and a couple of attacks that really put the damage on each.
I'm
AKA the most famous punch in this anime, the United
United
States of
States of
Smash.
Smash. I mean, if your fight is so important, it gets fan art and figurines of one specific moment of that fight, you know it was a damn important moment. And I would argue one of the top 10 most famous punches in all of anime.
Granted, is it the best punch in all anime? No, we're not going to talk about it here, but that's a that's a topic for a later date. But it is still such a fantastic moment to see All Might overcome the entirety of his sickness, all of his weakness, just to deck All for One in the face.
Yeah, All Might All Might when you look at superheroes, they're supposed to be a pillar of morals and ethics and virtues and whatnot. They're supposed to be someone you look up to. And at this moment, All Might definitely showed what it meant to be a hero with the United States of Smash in his condition.
If only it had killed All for One, then most of the events afterwards would not have happened.
If only it was enough. Uh,
But we're not talking about that.
we're not talking about that now. And now it's time for the part of the program where Poptart doesn't know anything because he didn't see the show. Yu Yu Hakusho,
Let's go.
my personal favorite.
I'm going silent again.
He's gonna take a break, and I'm gonna wake him up for his segment because he's got another one on me.
Bye.
But Yu Yu Hakusho is my personal favorite anime, and the most important fight in that is Yusuke versus Toguro round 2, or their fight in the Dark Tournament. Because really, what does it mean for all of these characters? Well, for starters, it's a round 2. For the first round, we kind of had Toguro being like Goku and just saying, hey, I only used 20% of my power, and I let you think that you win, when in truth, you weren't even fucking close to beating that. I want to die, so you're going to the Dark Tournament whether you like it or not. And, oh boy. They didn't like it, but the Dark Tournament is the best tournament arc in all of anime. No one can change my mind because I've seen other tournament arcs and nothing's compared. But all that two arcs have led to is this rematch of Yusuke and Toguro. And everything from Toguro revealing his true demon form 100% to Yusuke getting the power up from Genkai Spirit Wave and Toguro straight up killing Genkai and Kuwabara, forcing Yusuke to have his quote unquote crash out. And I say that in the best of quotations. Because every single anime at this point feels like at some point the best friend has to die and the main protagonist has to get so angry and beat the shit out of pure anger alone. We never get to see any other reactions of grief, but to see someone get depressed and instead of through anger and fury beat their opponent, through calm and tranquility beat him. To quote Yusuke specifically, I already couldn't forgive you because you killed my master. And now I can't forgive myself because you killed my best friend. I don't know, it puts a lot of tropes on its head, and it's just really smart character writing. You have to see it for yourself because I'm not intelligent enough to speak about it. And now, for the part of the show where I get to go to sleep, we have Kengan Ashuda. Take it away, Poptart.
Alrighty then. So this is the major exception. This is the only time in the entire list where we have neither the main characters fighting nor it being in the first half. This is Tiger Nico versus Tokita Nico. In Kengan Ashura, there was a man named Nico, just Nico, and he taught the Nico style to 7 people. In this group of 7 people, all of them died except for Tiger and Tokita. The major reason why is because the the style is so powerful, it drives you mad with power. So, to counter this, Tokita actually trains a pupil by the name of Tokita Oma, also the main character. Tiger Nico, however, hates Tokita Nico because both of them claim to be the original Nico. And through this, Tiger decides to train Kiryu Setsuna. Kiryu Setsuna is crazy. He was saved as a child by Oma and now sees Oma as a wrathful god. And he will do anything in his power to be killed by Oma. However, through training with Tokita, Oma kind of mellowed out and he learned the Nico style. He was genuinely a decent person now. So, seeing the distraught look of Kiryu Setsuna, Tiger decided, I'm going to forcibly teach Oma a technique called possession. So, Tiger uses an attack that sends Oma into a rage called Ashura, thus the name of the show. Ashura is just this intoxicating power rush. It ramps up your heart rate so that you're stronger and faster than any human ever should be. This strategy is the main one that Oma uses in the main tournament of this anime, and it ends up killing him. Tiger Nico and Tokita Nico also end up fighting each other right after the possession technique is taught, and Tokita dies. Tiger Nico wins. But soon after, Kiryu Setsuna kills Tiger Nico because he doesn't want anyone stealing his thunder. This entire fight sets up the anime and the manga just because of the generational beef between Tokita and Tiger. So
Eh,
yeah, that is all I really have to say.
damn. And now originally we were planning on ending things here, but it wouldn't be cool if a collab ended with just one person prattling. So we came together for one final fight that we both love, for One Punch Man, the best fight and the absolute peak of the show, which is hella unfortunate because this is in season 1. Saitama versus Boros.
Yeah, me and Blue Fang unanimously agreed that this is a top 10 fight in all of anime.
I
Not
would
just because of its importance, but because of its animation, the way it's shot. Just every single inch of this is filled with love and passion and just general finesse that you don't see in a lot of anime.
to quote Saitama. Okay.
Yeah,
But yeah, I have never if this is learn to talk, person whose job it is to talk. If this was a video based purely on the choreography and visuals of the fight, hands down, this is number 1. There is no competition on this list.
yeah. There is
Consecutive
so
normal
much to
punches,
love about it.
collapsing. Sorry, you first, you first.
No, there's just so much to love about it, from the kick to the moon to all the comedy to just the sheer might you feel from Saitama that he's not even trying.
I mean, which move do you think sounds like more effort? The collapsing star roaring cannon or consecutive normal punches?
Granted, the final blow was called Serious Punch, but that's the joke. He's only just getting a little serious and punched him hard enough to send a shockwave throughout the entire planet.
He's like, "Oh man, I stopped holding back my punches and you died."
Sorry, I don't know what that was.
Oh. Um but yeah, in terms of a pure visual spectacle, the fact that we finally get to see someone survive not live up to the name of One Punch Man. Saitama versus Boros. Best fight on this list.
Yeah, and yeah, no, and not to undersell it because of its importance, it's still a very important fight. You see Saitama not hold back all of his power for the first time. You get to see Boros, a character that wasn't really important for very long, but with how much screen time he got, he was still a fantastic villain. And you got to see all the other pro heroes really push to their limits. The only one that didn't struggle other than Saitama was Tatsumaki, and that's because Tatsumaki didn't fight anyone nearly as strong as her.
Yeah, just damn good all around. Can't speak enough
Yeah,
praise, can't glaze enough. So then how the hell did you fall so massively, One Punch Man? How did
they
we go from
switched.
a kick to the moon to consecutive normal punches to collapsing star roaring cannon to JPEG down a hill?
It's just so hard to watch, like modern One Punch Man.
I know. But that about concludes it for me. Do you have anything else to add?
No. If I did have one thing to say though, it's go watch a lot of these fights. If you haven't, go watch the anime they're a part of. Just appreciate how good some of these are.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Like anime is a good genre of media, and just because it's not American doesn't mean you shouldn't deserve it. With all that being said, I'm willing to call it off here. How about you?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good.
Alright, take care. I'm not your dad. Don't know about the other guy. It'd be pretty weird if you were born from a Pop Tart. But,
Yeah, no, that'd be a little concerning.
bye.
Bye.